Wonder Woman issue 2, legacy number 802. Tom King writing with Daniel Sampere on the art. Now, issue 1 of this kind of blew us away. It was fantastic.
Yep.
So issue 2 had a lot of expectations going in, and I think it's relatively safe to say it met them quite happily.
Yeah. This is. I know we're 2 issues in, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. However, this feels like it's going to be an all-timer. Just with the subject matter that King's going on, and then Sampere's art. Just let the man cook.
Oh yeah.
Like whatever King wants to have him draw, it's gonna look fantastic. You know.
Yeah. What's so funny is that so that backup in Detective, which did the whole, one page of the Alfred stuff, one page of the Barbato stuff, and they had the same layouts. This entire issue's, well, there's a couple exceptions, but the most of this issue is kind of like that, where it's mirroring the fight that Diana did at the end of the tournament when no one knew it was her, right? So on Themyscira, there was a tournament to decide who would go back to man's world. And this was seemingly the final fight, but no one knew it was Diana, the daughter of Hippolyta. They just, this masked woman was fighting, and she's fighting this other Amazon. And we get that fight playing out alongside this fight that plays out in present day, which is the entire, well, not the entire, but a large portion of the US Army fighting Wonder Woman. And it starts off with like a little bit of conversation, and the present day stuff, it's Steve coming up to talk to her, and he's basically been sent in to try and talk her down so she'll turn herself in, and he knows she's not going to, but he's making the offer all the same.
But he's going through the motions.
So, and it's sort of like some of the dialogue that Diana has in the present day stuff mirrors stuff that she said in that fight in the past, and ultimately it all boils down to who she is and the fact that she's not going to yield because she doesn't think that that's the right thing to do. She's going to fight no matter what.
When there's something that Diana believes in fully with her entire heart, she's unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's going to get in her way. She's basically a force of nature. And in some of the dialogue, she talks about how every war is kind of the same, no matter, if it was ancient or now, where they'll send in the, like the barrage of attacks, right? Which is like long distance weapons, whether it's arrows or bombs, right? And then they'll send in the cavalry, whether it's tanks or men on horses, right? And each of these things that she shows, it shows how she's dealing with the army, but also, in her fight against the Amazonian to come to man's world. And then it gets to finally the infantry, and that's where it really, really kicks off, where you just see her dismantling this force, right? Of army, I guess they're grunts, right? As Steve and Sergeant Steele are watching through binoculars, and it just it adds to the legend of Wonder Woman for sure.
Well, just on the construction of the comic, I was mentioning how, and Matt's trash men are being very loud. He's just muted his mic for me, thank you. So the construction of the comic, where it's doing this thing where you get like a page of Diana talking to Steve, then a page of Diana talking to the Amazon, and I keep saying the Amazon, I don't want to spoil it because there's a reveal at the end of who it is, so I'm keeping it separate for now. But the way, like, the first time they sort of like break the format is just at the end of this conversation, when Diana says, and no one has the right to tell me who I am. And like this page has that mirror format where it's the Steve and the other Amazon down either side of the page. And at the bottom, it's the present day Wonder Woman saying this, but she's also finishing the sentence on the flashback. So it's kind of this great thing where they both blend together. And it's right at this pivotal point where, okay, the dialogue is now over and the fight's about to start. So it feels like the end of like Act 1 of the issue, if you will, where, okay, now Steve's walking away and so is the Amazon. And then we get that great 2-page spread where it's split horizontally. The top half's the Amazon fight, and when I say the fight, it's just like her eyeing her up, and then the bottom half is Wonder Woman standing with the military in front of her. It's gorgeous stuff. And then it sets up, like you got Steve talking to Sergeant Steele, and Sergeant Steele keeps saying little things like when Wonder Woman like wins the first wave, Steve says something like, "Oh, the artillery didn't do what you wanted it to," and Steele's like, "We." He's like, "What do you mean, sir? We wanted it to." He's like, "Oh, of course, sir. We." So the whole time it feels like Steve's obviously rooting for Wonder Woman. He knows this fight is wrong. He doesn't want to do this.
Right.
And meanwhile, we've got all this art here. There's a great page where it's like 4 horizontal panels where it's the explosions of the artillery at the top, and then there's just like the smoke clearing as a silhouette of Wonder Woman running through it. But then by the time you get to the bottom panel, it's the flashback Diana who's running towards the camera, as it were, with a battle cry. And that leads us... There's a lot of really neat transitions from the flashback story to the present day story. It's really just top form stuff. So not only is the line work and the expressions and the compositions all great, the sequencing and how it's like going between the two stories that are interweaving are very, very good. And here's the beauty of it, is that obviously you get why, okay, this flashback is an example of her right from the start of her story not yielding, of like fighting for what she believes in. And that would be enough to justify why you have that there. But of course, when you get to the end of the issue, you realize, no, there's another reason why we're showing this part of her origin again. There's a very important reason why we're showing you that again. Because when this other Amazon finally takes off her helmet, because she keeps saying, yield, young warrior, like, you fought well, but I'm about to win, so give me your name and, like, concede. And Diana's like, no thank you. And then Diana gets stabbed in the stomach, and the other one thinks she's won, and Diana just says, now I've got 2 swords and you've only got none. And pulls out, and she has her sword scissoring her neck. I know that sounded bad, but you know what I mean. She's got her swords crossed, and she's and Diana says, no, you tell me who you are. I've earned your name. And she takes off, the final page is this other Amazon taking off her helmet, and it's Emily, which I'll admit, the name didn't ring a bell immediately, but then I realized who this was. This was the one who killed everyone at the start of issue 1 in the bar.
The tall blonde that looks like Cassie.
Yeah.
And come to find out, because I'm like, is this Philip is this one of the Amazonians that we're well aware of, right?
Yeah,
and this is King telling us a different story, a different part of the origin. So then it ends up being the one that caused the Montana massacre, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing thematic stuff here even more.
Yeah, and we're doing a big reveal here. So okay, so this is someone from Diana's past.
Yeah.
This is the warrior she fought in the tournament, and I don't know if what she's doing now directly ties back into this past. Maybe she is bitter that she lost and that Diana went off and became the Wonder Woman. I it's hard to say at this point. Or maybe it's just a connection where they cross paths before and it'll become relevant, like what her motives and all that are now going forward. But that was a great reveal at the end. It was a great sort of full stop to the issue. That's something that both issue 1 and 2 have had, is just fantastic structure and build into a climax where you feel like you've got this full satisfying like point by the end. And
the
then
pacing of the issue is very handled very, very well.
Yeah, and then you've got pages where Diana's like slamming a tank into another tank, and it's like a full page spread. And it's glorious.
So good.
And then you've got Steve smirking as Steele realizes that he's losing. And it's like, just little moments of enjoyment. Or there's a panel where there's machine guns firing at Diana, so Sempier's drawn all the arms moving quickly and all the deflecting bullets happening.
Right.
So there's just pings everywhere. All very good. It's all just super exciting. Just as I'm going through the issue now, talking about it, I noticed that, again, the way that the old story and the present day story are mirroring each other is the panel where Diana gets stabbed in the stomach. The panel that's right next to that in the present day side is Sergeant Steele smiling because he thinks he's winning. And that's just a neat bit of, like, it's like even the part where Diana looks like she's maybe going to lose is at the same time. And it's like he's reacting to that fight rather than the one that he's watching in front of him.
And what part is it where he has his hand in his pocket, right? And then he looks down and realizes, she's the reason that he's missing his metal hand?
That's fairly early, actually. That's when Steve first
early.
talks to him, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that thing, too, because that was, that just shows his pettiness, him going that far.
Yeah. Another great bit of mirror in here is that, when Diana gets the second sword, when she pulls the sword out and uses that as a weapon against her opponent, she's doing the exact same thing in the present day, but using the weapon against the enemy is the tank. But in both examples, she's using the other person's weapon against them. So the mirroring between them is fantastic throughout. Really, really good. So Yeah. Oh yeah, in that panel where Steve's smiling because Diana's won is is actually the last page. It's right just before the Emily reveal at the bottom of the page. Wonderful stuff. I also have to mention some of the narration here. Like this is clearly someone talking to her daughter. Like there's a couple of lines referring to Diana as your mother. So very good. Very, just intriguing to think about.
Well, yeah, because we had the narration last time was from that king character.
The Sovereign, I believe.
The Sovereign. There we go. Yeah,
so
of the Sovereign.
Is he trying to manipulate Wonder Woman's daughter in the future? Is that what's happening here?
Which then also tells me that despite whatever happens at the end of the story, he must still be around, or a version of him is still around later through. To talk to Trinity. Or it could be maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. Someone that was, maybe it's Steve talking to her. Because is there a bit of sinisterness to it? As he's talking, as whoever is talking to Trinity.
Yeah. Okay. It definitely sounds like it's someone who, while obviously he's not playing down the strengths of Wonder Woman as he talks about her, does seem to have a critical viewpoint of her, or at the very least a dislike of her, I guess we'll say.
So then maybe it's not Steve.
I don't think it's Steve. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same narrator as last time.
Okay.
But maybe we'll find out otherwise, but I think it will be. I feel like if it was a different...
it'd be different boxes, right?
It'd be different boxes, but they also, I think, would have revealed who it was by the end of the issue if it was a different person.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah. Because then what do? Do you if you reveal it a few issues later, then you go, well, when did it switch, kind of thing, But no, excellent stuff. Gorgeous from start to finish, excellently paced. It's such a strong character study issue. Great action, but it's always telling something, and then it has that great cliffhanger of revealing that, okay, this is the murderer, this is the person who's going to go on to do this massacre. And then you have the backup, which, hopefully you read this before Amazon's attack, because this was a little prologue to that book, the backup this issue, which is a woman who, possibly an Amazon, but possibly not.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm bringing some knowledge from Amazon's attack into this, but we see this woman douse the outside of a gas station with gasoline and then set it on fire, blowing up the whole place. And this is Josie Campbell and the artist from Amazon's attack doing this short story. And this wakes up one of the Yara's tribe. I'm forgetting their name.
Escasita.
Thank you. The prophet from her tribe, talking about how there's like a great fight coming. All the Amazons are going to die, and she collapses. And there's just a little cliffhanger and a tease for Amazon's attack, which is effective enough. The only critique I'll have here is that the woman who blows up the petrol station, like, I was genuinely not sure if that was meant to be Nubia, because she had very similar hair.
Very similar, and they're also up in Canada though. So I was like, what's Nubia doing up in Canada?
Yeah,
like, is she investigating? Does she think that Emily went across the border from Montana up to there, or what? And then she ends up, it's clearly not her. So, but it's a minor quibble.
It's just such a strange choice, because obviously in Amazon's attack it makes it very clear this wasn't Nubia, right? And if you look at them side by side, you can see how they're drawn differently. But it's a sort of thing where if this was just like, a new artist drawing the same character for the first time, this could be how they draw that character, because the key features are pretty similar. So just a really weird choice. The only thing that's maybe says it isn't her is that she's got regular street clothes on. But even then, I was thinking, what if this is someone who's trying to look like Nubia to incriminate her? Like, it's not really her, but but that doesn't seem to be the case. Like, no one mentions in Amazon's attack that this woman looks like Nubia. So I think she's just meant to be a different woman with a very similar haircut, which fair enough. But oh well. Anywho, what are you rating Wonder Woman issue 2?
So if it wasn't for this backup that was tacked on in there, this might have been a 10, right? But because of the presence of the backup, I have to give it 9.5.
Okay. I think I'll also go the 9.5. It's fantastic. I'm not really dropping it because of the backup. I think the backup's innocent enough. It's a nice enough read for what it is. But yeah, it's all with the main story here, really, and it's phenomenal. Like Tom King's outdoing himself with this one, so
I feel like whatever I feel like he needed to write the story that we don't talk about to get all the negativity out of his system. So you just keep telling killer story after killer story. Because I can't tell you the last time I haven't enjoyed a Tom King story.
Heroes in Crisis, well, no, maybe Batman Catwoman was that had some mixed parts.
What? But that had some promise that eventually petered out.
Yeah, but that was technically the end of his Batman run, which was already in a weird place. So that it was kind of destined to maybe not work as well.
But yeah, he's just working on all levels here.